Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wizard World Virtual Experiences. So we're very excited to have you all here watching us for this panel with some of the amazing cast members of Buffy and Angel. Let's bring these folks out here. First off, you knew him. You might not have seen his face, but you saw him under a series of masks, including the Gentleman, Gnarl, and Ubervamp. Please welcome Camden Toy, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
There, Camden. What's up? How you doing?
How's it going?
Very good, very good. All right, next up, you might remember her from Bring It On, but in the Whedonverse here, in the Buffyverse, we know her as Hell Goddess Glory. Please welcome Clare Kramer.
Hi, guys. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Claire, welcome. Everyone's loving this so far. It's only awkward from our end. Everyone else is seeing it like a real TV show here. All right. You know this next actor from Law and Order, American Hustle. She played Detective Kate Locksley on Angel. Please give it up for Elisabeth Röhm.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Elisabeth. How are you? Up next, you might have seen her in Drones, Chance, Supernatural. We know her as the Witch Tara. Let's give it up for Amber Benson.
Is it wrong that I just want to keep going, woo, for each of you when you say their names?
You can all cheer. We can all cheer for ourselves, just so we can feel it. Just know the Twitch audience out there is going insane with woos and hearts and her name, just with multiple exclamation points afterwards. So. Oh, man. And last but not least, we know him as the voice of from Dragon Ball Super. We know him from Marvel's Runaways, Torchwood. He's Brainiac in Smallville, but we fell in love with him first as Spike on Buffy and Angel. Please give it up for James Marsters.
Hey, you beautiful people. Good to see y'all. And Amber, I've been screaming for everybody. I've screamed loudest for you.
James has been alone in his living room just screaming his head off.
I know. Yeah! I love her. Oh, my God. She's here? Awesome.
Welcome, you all. Welcome. First of all, I'm speaking on behalf of our Twitch, our Facebook Live, our YouTube audience. I'm following along on Twitch specifically, but we also have some of our staff following along on Facebook. Please, you can start to put your questions in there. Just tag at Wizard World Virtual. But again, I'd like to speak on behalf of all of the fans and all of the huge nerds out there that just say thank you, thank you. We're living in some tough times right now, and just for all of you to get together here and provide us with a brief respite from all of that, we truly appreciate it as fans of the series. So again, shout out to all y'all for coming out here. Let's start up with the first question. We're going to be going to a lot of questions from the fans, and this is kind of a hybrid question. One of the things that's been coming up is just fans' curiosity with you all and how you're doing, how your region's doing, what you've been doing to pass the time. And then specifically, we've been adding a little fun feature. What might your character from Buffy or Angel be doing in the quarantine? And then from CyberDady2103 specifically, what Buffy actor or actress would you be okay with spending a month with in quarantine? So kind of a loaded question, but we'll head around the room. Whoever wants to start.
That is pretty loaded. It could go a lot of different directions.
Mike, you gotta remember, we're all friends, so that's like...
Yeah. It's like when people say, who's your favorite person you worked with? You're always like, that's like asking a parent who their favorite child is, you know?
Yeah, could we just have like a large B&B and we could all just hang together? That would be probably the best.
I know, I'm looking around at all your faces and thinking, when do I get to work with you guys again?
Like I make a mean risotto. I bet Amber's got
nice.
lasagna up her sleeve or something.
Sure.
Yeah, we could have a good time.
I can do lasagna.
I think
lasagna.
Once it's safe, people would love to see the entire cast. All of the main actors, recurring actors from the Buffyverse get together. Oh my gosh, how crazy would that house be?
Yeah.
Family reunion.
So Camden, what would Ubervamp be doing during this outbreak?
Oh, chasing his own tail, I think. And I think Gnarl would be stripping off his own skin.
Oh, wow. You're dark, dude.
Yeah.
And James said that he was playing he was gaming and he was just doing all kinds of naughty things in his house with like Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. And I said Kate Locksley would be very much doing what James is doing, just slaughtering.
Nice. So we got a little Kate, we got a little Camden's various characters. What about the rest of y'all? What would Tara, Spike, Glory, what would they be doing to survive the apocalypse or the quarantine?
Well, we're all kind of in Southern California, right? And we're all kind of I'm
on the Central Coast. I'm in San Luis Obispo, but that's so close.
It's close. It's like, yeah, we're all in California, and I think we've all been under quarantine for a really long time because our governor was very insistent right from the beginning, which was amazing. I think it's really helped us to flatten the curve. So I think we're all staying in. We're all wearing masks when we go out. We're staying 6 feet away from each other. And I think if Tara was here, she would probably be like taking groceries to older folks who are kind of stuck in their houses and doing lots of good charitable things. She's a very nice person. So I think that's what she would be doing.
So nice. That's so good. I think Spike would be picking off nighttime joggers.
And you think I'm dark.
No face mask getting taken out.
That's right. Yeah, forced into quarantine, you bastard.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think Glory, she would not be phased. It would not. She's a god, so it would not bother her. She'd just go about her business and take advantage of the uncrowded retail stores and do some looting, and then probably do some baking.
I like that Spike is you're serving the greater good though. You're taking out people that aren't abiding by the quarantine rules.
Right, vampire, hero. So two things. Yeah, exactly.
Anti-hero.
Like unsung hero of the quarantine.
Well, that's what I love so much about the series, and I think why it worked so well and lasted so long was we were seeing these characters as humans. Even though they were these otherworldly characters, we were seeing them through the eyes of a high school situation, right? I know Joss has always said that it was meant to be a reflection of the difficulties that you go through as a young person. And we see that come out through all these characters. And there's a ton of questions already out there about working with Joss. I mean, what a brilliant individual, specifically for Moving Pictures 2112. Question for everyone. How was it working with Joss, especially in this early conception period? This was his baby, essentially. So the fans would just love to hear, just working with that creator.
Terrifying. Terrifying. So when you do a normal television show, after you do a couple episodes, you know exactly what you'll be doing for the rest of the series, basically. But with Joss Whedon, you have no idea what's coming week to week. And so it got to a point where I didn't even want to open the new scripts. Like, what is he going to have to do? Or like I would hide from him sometimes. I didn't want to like do something to piss him off, so he'd make me, do something horrifically bad the next week.
I remember in season 4, you were expressing a real concern about that. I remember.
Well, yeah, I was naked all the time. I was like, Joss, there's young kids watching this. Should we be doing all this stuff? And he's like, oh, well, that's how you grow up, James. You watch inappropriate television. And then he walked off. I was like, yeah.
I think the thing that struck me as being really unique about the show is that it was a word perfect show. It wasn't a show where there was any room for, artistic interpretation on the dialogue or the lines, and it just, to me, as a young artist, showed that Joss had a very clear vision of what he wanted, and he also knew how to execute it on many different levels. So it was a big learning experience for me in that way.
Yeah. I used to give him ideas for the show, and he would say, "That's really great, James." And then there's me.
That's so funny because that was exactly my experience too. I mean, I think when I started acting, I wanted to be in like Merchant Ivory movies, and somehow, I don't know, I auditioned for Angel, and then I don't know, they offered it to me, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I have other aspirations, and Joss got my cell phone number, and he called me, and he was like, I don't know really who you think you are. He's like, but this is some deep shit, okay? Like, this is philosophically very important, but it's really true because, really his intelligence and like what Mike was saying about like the meaning behind all of it. It's like, it might have been this extraordinary world, but it was something that was so approachable that we all really related to emotionally, from whatever our different vantage point was. So he became sort of like a Dr. Seuss to me. Like, I thought he was just brilliant, and I'd love to work with him again, actually. I don't think it's a surprise that his career has just like continued to explode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Camden, what did you start to say?
No, I was just going to say that, when I worked with him, I think the only episode I worked with him where he actually was the writer-director on the actual episode was Hush. And thank you. I mean, I know when we got the script and actually, thanks, Amber. He was so busy with Angel and other things, we didn't even get a full script when we first started shooting. We had a partial script, but he did not give us a lot of direction. A lot of what we were doing was very much, in the script. We only got very small little adjustments. Did you guys notice? Was that true with you guys as well?
No.
He ripped you to shreds.
Lots of notes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ken, the happiest I ever saw Joss was when he got you to float.
Oh my gosh!
Apparently, that there was a master shot of you guys floating down the sidewalk.
Yes.
I walked in. He was like a little kid. He was like, "They floated! They floated! Oh my god!"
Yeah, he had all of us floating on the Universal lot late one night. And two of us, I think there were 6 of us all together. 2 of them were actually on wires. The other 4 of us were on platforms that were being pulled on tracks.
Yeah, no computers.
Like James said, I mean, it was like such an incredible world. I mean, it was like all of the stunts and all of that. I'd never done anything like that. And even when I got American Hustle, Jeremy Renner had been an Angel, and we remembered once we were cast as husband and wife that we had done this huge like vampire fight scene in Angel.
I love that's such a great segue because a bunch of fans are asking about it already. One of my favorite parts of the show were just all the practical effects. James, you started to say it. No computers, right? This is makeup. Best obviously Camden, but James, you as well, with those prosthetics and then live practical effects. There's a bunch of fans asking similar questions out there, but specifically from Maryland 13. I'd love to hear some personal stories of just like Camden, you specifically, how long it took to get that makeup on, and just how appreciative we as fans were, and like just any personal stories of you on set, like some things that stood out to you makeup set wise from any of the episodes.
Rose didn't actually float, you guys. It was on a string. Sorry to burst your bubble. I know you thought we were doing magic. We weren't doing magic.
May I tell a little story real quick about when we first met Amber? I hope you don't mind, Amber.
No, go for it. You can.
We'd walk up to Doug Jones and I would walk up and go, "Hi, how's it going?" She'd be like, "Hey," and we thought she was kidding. And her mother actually had to come up to us and go, "Guys, she's really scared of you. Stop going up to her."
True. You guys were frightening. The best was at lunch. You'd be sitting there. There was nobody at the table with you because no one was there to sit with you. And you had straws to try and like drink your little, like, because all of the makeup, it just,
yeah.
You guys were phenomenal.
I think Mark Blucas was the only cast member that was willing to talk to us. Everybody else was like,
true.
Yeah. I mean, everybody else is like, nobody. Yeah. We did not get to know anybody on that episode.
You came up to me at the end without makeup and you're like, it was so fun working with you. And I was like, who is this?
I had the same experience with my minions because I never got to see them in person.
Right.
They were already made up by the time I got there. And then, and then I saw somebody at like the, wrap the 100th, episode party or something. They're like, "You've been so," and I'm like, "Who are you?" I'm so-and-so, drag.
Yeah, I used to get that look when I go up to catering without makeup. They'd be like,
"Yeah, who is this guy?
You're eating the food. Who are you?"
How long did the makeup take for you, Camden?
Most of the makeup took about 4, sometimes some days 5 hours, but there were those. I know. But there were exceptions. Gnarl took even though Gnarl was a full bodysuit, Robert Hall from Almost Human knew it was going to be a really complicated thing. So he had numerous assistants there assisting in it, and that one took about 3.5 hours. Believe it or not,
the vamp face took 20 minutes. like
they had it down.
20 minutes. Yeah, but Todd McIntosh, the head of makeup on Buffy,
sure, Todd had it down.
Yeah, he told production that it took 30 minutes because he knew that they would be pressing him to do it less. If he told them took 20 minutes, they'd press him for 15, and he had a temper, so he lied to them. So we would get it done. He would get it done in 20 minutes, and we'd drink tea and talk for like 10 minutes.
Nice, yeah, he was great. What a lovely man.
Yeah, and he used an airbrush.
Yes.
To do the makeup, so he didn't even touch me. So I would take a nap. It's like, oh great, fan face time. Because we were working 20 hours a day, so anytime that they would let you close your eyes, they were like, I'm out. Yeah, wake up ugly. Yeah. It was great.
Long hours.
Like that was the coolest part, right? Like getting to hair and makeup and seeing all you guys get done like that. I mean, it was just crazy. It like suspended belief. It was such a wild world to be a part of. I've never been a part of anything like that since. I'd love to do something wild like that again.
Mm-hmm. I've never been prettier. I was wearing more makeup, like not the vamp face, but just a normal makeup. That was more makeup than Buffy. People are like, they meet me now and they're like, man, you used to be really pretty good looking. And I was like, well, yeah, we're a lot of makeup.
Yeah, I got real friendly with that airbrush.
That's right.
A lot of love out there that's saying you guys all look so great still. It's amazing. It's crazy. I mean, like when you think about it though, like how long ago it was now, you know what I mean? Like back
20 years, right? I mean,
and then just the amount of people again, and y'all have to watch this afterwards, just the amount of love and outpouring from across the world. When did you start to know that this was like the phenomenon that it was? And I know everybody came into at different points. Obviously, Amber and James, you came in, at mid as like popularity. Camden, you were there the whole time doing the creatures. I know Elisabeth and Claire, you came in as a big bad, and then in the spinoff. But still, we're all part of this like family universe together. I would just love to hear any personal stories or just reactions to when you realized how big this was, and my gosh, 25 years later, how impactful it still is as a series.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a private I did a live chat on my Instagram account with Julie Benz last week. And I was so touched to see how much that meant to people. I mean, I really just did it with her because we're in the coronavirus and we're friends, and it was a great way to stay connected. I mean, much like all of us were talking about this morning before we got ready to see all you guys, we were saying that we're as excited to see you guys as you might be to see us, because we're all stuck at home and you feel really disconnected. And so I was really moved to see how much the fans of Buffy and Angel were excited to see Darla. And yeah, it's like, it's wild 25 years later, and it does connect all of us. It's amazing.
Yeah, I suspected that the show it could be big because I was a Star Trek fan. I kind of still am, but I watched the original Star Trek, and I knew that that Buffy had a chance to do what Star Trek did, which is like still be entertaining after the audience knows what the lines are, they know what the plot is going to be, but the world is a pleasurable world to go back to, even when you know those things. And the characters are interesting enough that you just want to go hang out with them again. So I think I used to tell people late at night, like the cast members, when everyone was tired, like, we might be talking about this scene for the rest of our lives, guys. So we should bring it tonight. And everyone's like, shut up, James, we're tired.
You were right.
I was right. Star Trek fans are always right. Always. But then I think, do you guys remember the posting parties?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I went
amazing.
That was my first posting party, and that was the first time that it was an announced event with fans. And it was just cram packed, and it was.
I like that, cram packed.
It was, and it was kind of dangerous. It was like everyone was hi, and I was like, just like.
Yeah, I remember the first posting party I did. I remember you, James. You were like, a line of fans like kind of accosted you and like captured you in this one side room, and I came by and like kind of like tried to rescue you. And you and I were chatting and goofing around and playing around, and somebody literally stuck their head in and went, "Excuse me, there's people out here waiting to talk to him."
I'm like, Camden, choke me out, help me.
It was really fun. I was like, and you and I were both like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
I remember the first posting board party I went to, which was obviously season 5. And right. James, your band played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, you guys played, and it was like so surreal to me because I was brand new in, Los Angeles, and Buffy was my first TV job, and then, to go there and see you guys. It was at the place near the Hollywood Bowl, the old
American Legion Hall.
Yeah, the American Legion Hall. Yeah. And I was really worried that if I didn't wear my hair curly, no one would know who I was. So I had
so not true, Claire. You were unforgettable.
Yeah.
Nobody ever knew who I was either.
Michael do my hair just like Lori's hair.
So awesome. So yeah, the fans were are already being way more specific than we've been, because they know it's 23 years exactly, because we did the math. 7. So in 2 years, it's the 25th anniversary, and fans out there are dying to know. There's been rumors for the past. When did it end? Like 2003, 4, something in there. So for the past that many amount of years, fans have been asking this question. Troyfin, too, specifically has mentioned the Spike spinoff, a Spike movie, a continuation, of the characters. There's graphic novels out there. There's comic books. I know specifically, James and Amber, you contributed to those as well. So, and now with the Disney sort of takeover, if you will, everyone's wondering out there, like, is there rumblings of a future Buffyverse coming back out there? In terms of the film medium or TV medium or any of these streaming services, or anything that you're excited about or have heard?
Yeah, I heard that there was like a new Slayer for a new generation.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people heard that it was going to be a new Buffy. Yeah. And there was a negative reaction to that. But once people kind of understood that it was going to be a different Slayer with a new cast, and I think the showrunner for that is a really accomplished television producer who said that her Buffy was her Star Wars. That's what she grew up on. It convinced her to start storytelling, and I still think that's going. I think Joss is connected to it.
Yeah.
He's off in Europe doing an HBO show right now, so it may be.
Yeah,
he may be having to juggle that.
The Nevers. The
Nether regions? What?
Isn't it called the Nevers?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for it.
It's a British show that he's doing.
But so I'm very hopeful for that. I can't wait to see that. I think they could have Spike guest star on that. I could come like, oh, Spike could come in. Hello, how y'all doing? You want some training? That's the only problem. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, the Uber vamp will show up and gum people, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's so gross. I want to ask you: does the old Spike still have the platinum hair?
Oh,
hell yeah.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I don't, but that dude, he knows what works.
I think it'd be amazing to have a reboot where we have a very diverse cast, because I feel like that was one thing that we were sorely lacking on the show. And if we have a woman of color who's going to showrun it, and we're going to have a woman of color who's going to be the lead, I think it represents our world. And I think that's the beauty of Buffy, is that like it can speak of the time where it is being created. And I'm really hopeful that they actually make it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I used to ask people on the set of Buffy, it's like, where is Sunnydale? Is it like near Johannesburg, or like what? Where are we right now? Yeah, but it was 90s television, and everything was right near Johannesburg, right outside of town.
Universe, really, and it really created, I feel like it was the forerunner for these kind of verses, if you will, that have been established on TV since then. You all started it all, and now we've got Arrowverses and Vampire Diary verses, you know what I mean, and all those things, but you all kicked it off, and so we appreciate it as fans. It really was our, for folks of my age, but then just people that watched it, like our Star Trek of the time. It was that thing that we all got together and watched. And so again, thank you from the fans for sure, for everything. Let's talk really quickly. You mentioned Amber, the diversity, and wanting to have more of that this next go around. At the time it was tough, but you have to give Joss and the showrunners and the writers like credit. There were some strong female characters that we hadn't seen before on TV, and then specifically. Yeah. Specifically from a Lucy Reed, who's watching on Facebook. A specific question for you, but then I'd love to hear everyone sort of reflect on it. Being a member, a character of the LGBTQ plus community at the time, and really start having that relationship with Willow, for the first time, like really the first obvious time on TV. I'd love to hear just your experiences around that. And again, like I said, Lucy is just asking what it was like to be a part of that turning point in TV. And if you all sort of noticed that, as well with this series.
Hi, Lucy. No, I mean, we didn't realize at first that was where the characters were going to come together. I was just supposed to do a couple of episodes and I was going to be Willow's new friend. And then people kept coming up to us and going, wow, you guys have such great chemistry. And we were like, oh, that's nice. And then Joss was like, so that great chemistry, you guys are actually going to be taking that to the next level. But I don't think we realized the impact that it would have, that we were like the first real long-term lesbian relationship on network television, and that it would change things. And I know that Allie and I both feel so honored and blessed that we got to be a part of that. And I mean, this was Joss. This came from him. It was, I think, a sort of a mash note. The relationship was a mash note to some of his friends, a couple that he was close with. And he didn't see them on TV, and he wanted to do that for them, to give them that, to give them representation. And I think it's one of the things that I am most proud of in my life, that I got to be a part of that. And all of us got to be a part of a very groundbreaking show in many different ways. But that was sort of my little part of it. And I am forever grateful to Joss for making me Tara.
You guys were great. You did have great chemistry. And it was very meaningful at the time. You're right. That's amazing.
I remember I walked into Joss's office. He was on the phone. And he was like, they're kissing. That's it. Swing. And he goes, hey, Jane, what's up? And I'm like, who are you talking to? And he's like, oh, some suits on the network. What do you want? But that was my favorite. That was when I was most proud of the show, was your kiss, Amber. That's because like the original Star Trek had the first interracial kiss, which is the most proud thing. Anything that any Trekkie will tell you is the high point of the show. And like, I remember when I read the script, I was like, we got our kiss. We got our kiss.
Yeah. What did you start to say, Claire?
I think that it was the thing that made it work. One of the things is that it wasn't like pushed out, like, here's a lesbian relationship.
Exactly.
It just happened organically and naturally. And it was just so real. And a spotlight wasn't shown on them for, and that to me was really important in the execution side. And another reason Joss is such a genius, because he was able to just slide that in organically, Yeah.
And we got better representation for witches as well. So
that is very true.
Witch representation, important.
It is important.
But it's true. Like you said, he has this incredible ability to create like such a huge dramatic world, but then the emotional moments are very sweet and very grounded. They're very like pure.
Yeah.
Because when Kate Locksley was to try to commit suicide, I got a call from Joss telling me, do not act. He's like, do not act. This is not an invitation to do a suicide scene and like perform. He goes, just let it be. Just walk in and go through the actions. And it's like that. That's the end of the road. There's a simplicity in it. And there was a sweetness and a simplicity in your love for each other that I felt was really honest. And he was able to sort of balance that, like, that crazy world, but also like the really like pure acting moments.
Yeah.
There's been 100%. Some, it's so interesting to hear you all, because every director is different and every actor reacts to directors differently. And so it's so interesting to hear you all say that he really let you go, more or less, which can be frustrating, but the stuff that you created because of that, except for you, James, who he ripped into every possible scene that he could. Such an interesting thing. And there's actually a lot of fans out there right now on Twitch, on Facebook, just asking, specifically Nancy M92, if you as an actor or performer, so, stripping Buffy away, but maybe, Buffy is a particular instance for you, like, any advice out there for young actors? Also, if you could go back and talk to yourself and give yourself advice, what would you say to any aspiring performers out there, especially during this tough time where it's hard to, there's nothing really physically happening, shooting wise. So yeah.
Be an accountant, Amber, just numbers. They never go away. Death and taxes forever.
I think that every human being is beautiful enough and interesting enough to be stared at, every single one of us. But the ironic thing about actors is we cover up our most interesting sides and our most beautiful sides by trying to be cool. And so the very simple mountain that I climb every time someone says action or when I get on stage is just don't lie. Just allow an audience to study me, which is it's a very rude thing to do, to study someone. Like if you just go up to someone on the street, well, like not now, but like later on in a year, if you just go up to someone on the street and just be like, just notice everything about them, you'll get into an argument, you know? And actors, we allow people to do that rude thing and just say, it's okay. You can study me. And the worst thing I can do in that moment of allowing that is to lie. And so what I just try to remember that I am good enough as I am. I'm interested. I'm a human being. So like I'm a twisted, weird thing anyway. So I don't have to put on airs. I don't have to try to be something that I'm not. I just have to allow people to notice the weird me.
And to sort of underscore what James just said, I think you guys, if we're all sitting there and we're looking for something to do, I think that like you just beautifully expressed the Meisner technique, just to listen and respond, and like the stillness, like just stop that's sort of what I was trying to say. I think I really learned how to act at Angel, because that was really my first job. I mean, it was my first bigger job. So stop the doing and just be, and maybe now we have time, take a look at the Meisner technique, because that's what I heard you say.
Yeah, and to just add on to what James was saying, and Elisabeth as well, is find what makes you unique. You know, that's the part of you that is your artistic, you know, that makes you the artist that you are, and that makes you create differently than anyone else. So embrace what makes you unique and use that to facilitate your art form.
Also, I really thank you, Elisabeth, for bringing up Meisner. I spent 2 years studying his technique, and certainly I've studied other techniques as well. But one of the things I really liked about Meisner's technique was, more than any of the other techniques, is that he really encouraged the actor to use their imagination. Yes, we have this history, and yes, there's sense memory, and yes, there's all these background stuff. But more than anything, the imagination is so much more powerful. Like when I was playing the characters I played on Buffy, I've never been a skin-eating demon, so I had to use my imagination. I know, it's hard to believe.
All the fans out there. No, I'm kidding.
But it's the same if you're doing Shakespeare. You know, it's like if I did King Lear, I've never been a king. So how do I go about doing that? I have to use my imagination. So I more than anything, I think our imaginations are a great untapped resource that I think some actors are reluctant for some reason to use, and I'm not sure why that is. Do you have any thoughts on that, James? The reason I asked James is because he and
I have no imagination, so I don't know what to say. No, it's true. It's true, because you might get a role that's way outside your experience level.
Right.
And I remember when Spike was the same way as like a skin-eating demon. You know, I had to admit to myself that I could have fun slaughtering people, and I really had to come to terms with that. And luckily, I had just done a Macbeth up in Seattle, where I did a lot of I did research on soldier psychology. Because I was playing a soldier, basically. I was playing Macbeth. And I read that, and one of the things that soldiers feel guilty about is that apparently when you kill someone, and this I don't know from experience, but when you kill someone, there's something kind of fun about it. There's a rush, which is probably a very old voice, a very predator voice, or just the voice that says, I'm alive and you're not. But a lot of soldiers, they experience this, and they think that they're the only ones. And if they don't talk to someone when they come back from the war, they are just riddled with guilt all their lives for this reaction. Whereas if they get help, or if they talk to other soldiers about this, they'll find out that it's a very common thing. So I kind of had that piece kind of already in there, but I had to take it to a whole nother level with my imagination to get the character Spike. Yeah.
You all mentioned this a similar theme of celebration of individuality and uniqueness and being okay with that. My gosh, what everyone's beautiful to look at. What a better description to the Buffyverse, right? And these characters that were created both on paper and that you all brought to life.
Are you saying we're all very attractive?
You're all very attractive. One, two. Also, two, everyone is unique and flawed, and it's okay. You know what I mean? And the show was all about that. It was all about that's okay. You know what I mean? Even the monsters, right, had their other sides and their other things. So
very attractive monsters.
Very attractive monsters. I mean, listen, you have to start somewhere with, you know what I mean? You need to draw the audience in first, and then you play it down your message. We're almost out of time, but I want to.
What?
I know. It went so fast.
Come on, dude.
I know. It's crazy.
Let's talk about the show. One more question that's been popping up a ton all over the place, specifically from Eliana Sigmund. As we're talking about acting and memories and moments, are there any specific scenes or moments from the play or even character arcs, the show, that stick out particularly to you all? Anything from the whole Buffyverse that was a favorite moment or scene?
Oh, for me, it's the musical episode in entirety. It's just such an amazing, wonderful episode, and it's by far my favorite. And I feel like a lot of people really connected to it. And I just want to say a quick shout out to my friend Rosa, who's been quarantined in Italy for a really long time. I'm sending you hellos and mwah, mwah. Be safe out there.
Yeah, and Christine Sutherland, who's probably quarantined in
Christine,
Italy too.
she says she's doing okay. I talked to her.
Oh, yeah?
Direct messaging. Christine's good. She lost her really good friend in New York. And so she's been having a hard time, but her area is good. It's pretty safe and they're doing their part, but she's okay. Christine, we love her. She's the best.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you.
I remember about Joss. There was a scene where I was like, I was talking with Buffy in I think it was a church, and I ended up over a cross and burning, and it was like a really emotional scene, and I was really excited about it, and I remember filming it and really feeling good about it, like all my emotions were all really powerful. And Joss came up to me like 2 days later and he goes, okay, do you want the good news or bad news? I'm like, bad news, I suppose, first. And he said, your scene sucks. It's unwatchable. It's a career-endingly bad performance. And I said, and the good news? And he said, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to direct that scene, and we're going to save you. And he did. And he came in and wrote it, rewrote it, and just like what we were talking about before, simplified me. Yeah. Just really like I know you're feeling all this stuff, but we don't want to watch all that. We just want the story. So just please simplify. And I think now after being saved, it's one of my better scenes in the show. So
yeah, people are shouting out right now. Best scene, season 7.
Wasn't that the way to begin with? But yeah.
Cool. Elisabeth, Clare, Camden, any specific memories that you remember? Very intently.
This is kind of a funny memory. We were talking earlier in the panel about everything being practical effects, and we didn't have a lot of CGI and a lot of computer stuff back then, so everything was done practically. And there was a scene, I believe it was in the 100th episode, the season finale, where there was going to be a fire and a spark out of this thing, and they got my stunt double, and there was this whole big, thing, and I was on the ladder so I could say my line, and her feet were there by the fire, and then they called action and they did it, and it literally was like bing, like a tiny little spark. And I just busted out laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like of all the, all the preparation and all the safety precautions and all the everything. And then it was just this little, it's just kind of like a funny moment. I don't think I've ever told that story before. So there you guys go. A new story.
Cool. Awesome.
So my favorite episode and scene was, and maybe the fans who are here can remember what it was really called, but it was the truth stick. The truth stick, where I had but I just remember in this one scene standing there, and I told the truth to my dad. And I guess I was holding the truth stick, and like all this emotion came out about how I felt about my father. And I don't know, I have had a complicated relationship with my own father. So it was this very just intense experience, and being a young actor and sort of, feeling like a mixture of like what was happening as a character, but also personally how I feel about my own life. And it was just really powerful. It was a great episode, but personally, that scene had a lot of personal meaning to me.
Awesome. Thank you, Elisabeth. And Camden?
When I was working on Angel on the Why We Fight episode in the German submarine, the Prince of Lies.
The German submarine, like you do.
German submarine. It was a flashback to World War II, and I remember I was making too much of a meal out of this one scene. I was like, "The Prince of Lies is not a slab of meat," and the director came up to me and goes, "Camden, this is really purple prose, and I love these lines, but if you don't speed it up, they're going to get cut in the editing room. I know." And I was like, "Okay." So sometimes we just do too much. It's kind of like what James was saying. We just do too much sometimes,
Yeah.
So thank God we had some gatekeepers. Pardon me?
I said, make it faster and funnier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a Joss?
Louder, faster, funnier.
Is that a direct Whedonism or just a directors in general kind of quote?
I'm sure kids come from every director at some point.
I'm sure. Oh my gosh. Well, we are out of time, which is crazy because I could be sitting and having this conversation for 3 hours. But I want to wrap up just with given the current time. First of all, again, thank you so much. Speaking on behalf of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, there's hundreds of people right now watching from across the world. This show had such an impact on all our lives. So thank you for being here during this tough time. And I'd love to just go around and have everybody say a few words, just a quick shout out to the fans and anything you'd like to remember during these tough times.
Yeah, I'll say I'm having the best day. I'm glad that we're all together here. It just tickles me to think that it's the whole world that's together right now. And I just want to say I'm actually having a pretty good quarantine. I think it's my patriotic duty or my duty to the world to be lazy and to play video games. And it's funny how when you're told you can't do something, then that's the thing you want to do. But I've been fighting that. And just realizing that I like to hang out in my house and I love to play video games. So I'm just doing my duty with Call of Duty.
I love that, James. Good for you. I just want to say, first of all, I absolutely loved this last hour because the Buffy Whedon family is my family, and I feel like it's home when I look at the screen and I see Elisabeth and Amber and James and Camden. I love you guys so much, and all the people who aren't on here. And I just want to say to everyone who's tuned in, first of all, thank you. We recognize that you guys are some of the most dedicated fans in the world, and I speak for the entire cast, I think, when I say we really, really appreciate it. And we really thank you for your dedication and your support over 2 decades, which is crazy. And as far as what the country and what the world is going through, it is unfathomable. And I just want to give a personal message to everybody that you're not alone. If you feel alone, please reach out on social media or reach out to, friends and Zoom meetings and try to connect, because it can be really depressing to be in your house and just by yourself or with a core group. So it's important that we all stay connected, in whether that's on, Twitter or Zoom or Facebook or whatever. You're not alone. And if you're depressed, definitely reach out, because people are there to connect with you and help.
Thank you.
Just to jump onto that, we said when we all came together, we said that we were as excited to spend time with you guys as we hoped you were to spend time with us. And this is a time of isolation, but I've never been more connected to people than at this time. I mean, I'm doing a live chat on my Instagram every day just to be here with you guys too. I've missed all of you. It's so good to see your faces. And So, let's do this again. Who knows how long this is going to be, but let's stay, like you were saying, as connected to each other as possible and take advantage of all this time we have to build our relationships and see each other more often.
Yeah, I think mental health and self-care, I think we're really lucky. You can reach out to a therapist if this is hard right now. I'm talking to my therapist on one of the video programs, and it's really helpful because we are kind of in an uncharted world right now. So just be safe out there, keep your distance, wear masks when you go out. This is not a hoax. This is not a joke. Nobody is using this to get ahead of anybody else. This is truly a pandemic that is out there killing people. And so we need to come together. We need to self-quarantine, self-isolate if you're feeling sick. We need to be really respectful of each other during this time. This is not an experiment. This is reality, and we have to take it seriously. So please, 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 please don't go out and act like bananas out there. Like be thoughtful, be respectful. These are really intense times, and it's all of our duties to like stay in and to flatten the curve and to be respectful to each other and not hoard things and to just help people when we can. And I think Feeding America, World Central Kitchen, these are places you can donate. UNICEF, there are a lot of people who are struggling. They don't have jobs right now. Unemployment, so many people are filing and not able to get it. Food banks, like this is where we have to do our service to each other. We have to help each other. So if you have a little something, give it. Yep. If you don't, reach out, just talk to people, smile at people, just be there for each other, but be safe, stay well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can really, echo everything that everybody else has said as well. But, I'll, on top of all that, I have to remember to take care of myself physically. And so I'm working out. I'm taking walks because there are areas here in the Central Coast where you can do that, where you're not running into lots of people. It's harder in Los Angeles to do that. But I'm able to do that. But, I'm staying physically well. And I'm also, keeping my mind, engaged by reading more than I normally read. I love to read, but I'm actually stepped that up even more. So stay in touch with people, stay connected. We're not alone. None of us is alone. I think that's just something to remember. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Important messages there, especially the mental and physical health. I think people are forgetting that, and you all brought it up. So thank you for sharing that sentiment. Also, what a good time once it comes to streaming services to binge Buffy and Angel at this point. Right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we have plenty of time for those fans who've never seen it or those who watch it for the 20th time, like myself, go for it. But thank you all so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
You all head off into your private chat.
Thanks, Mike.
Give me some heart.
Mike.
Some applauses. Please do shout out one more time. Thank you so much to Camden Toy, Clare Kramer, Elisabeth Röhm, Amber Benson, and James Marsters, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you. And Wizard World and Jason, who's doing the streaming.
Yeah.
And Mike, good job, Mike.
Good job, Jason.
Hi, you guys. I missed your faces.
None of us want to leave.
It's yours
I know.
too. I know.
I have to pee, so I'm going to go.
So great to see you all.
All right. Bye.
Take care, Claire. Love you all.
An amazing cast is heading
See you, James.
To take a
Great to see you.
break. Before, oh my God, if you can see this now, all the love, all the hearts, all the support out there. Stay connected is the message, I think, right from the cast of Buffy and Angel.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.